Hello and welcome to the Gripe TV. I am your host, JP Forte. There's some new evidence in concerning the shooting that was done in Ferguson, Missouri, where Officer Darren Wilson shot and killed Michael Brown. And now there is a possibility, of course I believe it's been confirmed, that Michael Brown was on a surveillance tape committing a strong-arm robbery at a store 20 minutes prior to him being shot and killed by Officer Darren Wilson. And now there has been some new evidence, which I believe is also being confirmed, that Officer Darren Wilson was being physically assaulted by Michael Brown prior or just before he pulled for his gun and shot and killed Michael Brown. And the officer was also hospitalized from the assault himself. Basically, Michael Brown was a big dude, you know, and he just literally came at the officer and just started basically beating the crap out of him. And the officer reached for his gun and shot him. Now, I know there are a lot of people saying, you know, he could have done it differently, which, yeah, maybe he could have. But quite frankly, if I were an officer on the force, and I'm basically trying to resolve a situation, and I'm telling, you know, the person on the street, you know, to basically stop, desist, whatever, and this guy comes at me and basically starts beating the crap out of me, and I'm basically catching a beating that's so bad that it could become a life-threatening situation to me, hell yeah, I'm going to reach for my gun and shoot that guy. I think that anybody else would do the same. I mean, they might not fess up to it or admit it, but they know they would. Which, yeah, you know, I basically the officer could have tased him. But when you're basically, when you got some big guy on you beating the shit out of you, with the possibility of either beating you to the point that you're going to sustain some serious injuries, if not death, you're going to reach for the first thing that you think of that you can use to stop that guy. That's just the way it is. I know there's a lot of people that are probably going to be upset over my opinion on this, and there are others that are going to agree with me, but the more this evidence has been coming to light, the more I am in support of the officer. You know, I know there's officers out there that are crooked, that have done some bad things, but at the same time, police officers, just like everybody else, are human. And any person can be pushed too far. And police officers basically deal with a lot of drama every day. And that can basically push anybody to the point of snapping. So, you know, yeah, I admit that, you know, there's crooked cops out there. I'm not denying that. But at the same time, police officers can only take so much. And not only that, I don't think any police officer should have some random guy coming up randomly beating on them or doing anything to pose a threat to their life. Quite frankly, anybody that gets put in that situation, they're going to defend themselves. It doesn't matter who. They're going to make any attempt to defend themselves. And if they have a weapon on them, then they're going to use it. That's life. That's reality. So, it is what it is. It was a bad situation. You know, none of us really will ever fully know what could have been done differently. You could say it could have been done this way or that way, but it is what it is. It turned out how it did. And if, you know, a lot of this has been confirmed about Michael Brown, it was more than likely just something that was bound to happen eventually. Especially if he was doing strong arm robbery tactics and then he was physically assaulting a police officer, like what the new evidence is saying. And I know there are some people saying, oh, well, you know, this is probably something made up by the media or the corporate media, this and that. Well, yeah, I agree. The media doesn't always tell you the truth. And I think that in many cases, both media, you know, both types of media, both the independent media and the corporate media, can basically take facts and twist them around and lie to fit whatever the political agenda is that they have. So basically, these days you can't really trust the media to begin with. What you have to do is you have to look at the evidence and you have to come to your own conclusions these days. And right now with this new evidence, I honestly have to say that I am now going to be siding with the police officer on the issue. Because anybody is going to have some big dude beating the crap out of them with the possibility, because basically with the possibility of being seriously injured. I mean, especially because from from the evidence and from claims from the officer, which the officer was in the hospital recovering from the beating, I might add. Anybody that's going to be beaten that badly to the point that they actually have to be in the hospital, I say whatever way that they could defend themselves is the way they had to do it. So it is what it is, and quite frankly, if I were in the same shoes as the officer and I were being badly assaulted like that, first weapon I could reach for to defend myself and possibly prevent me from getting any worse injuries and possibly save my life, I will reach for that weapon. I would reach for that weapon and use it. So, you know, I think now I'm just going to have to be siding with the officer on this one, especially with the new evidence. And it is what it is, and that's that.